G'day, ladies and gents, or should I say, ni hao. We're going to be playing the Shenyang Gang Gang, or, well, the Shenyang F-5, but I like to call it the Shenyang Gang Gang, because if you are a member of Shenyang Gang Gang, then you've got yourself some access to a good plane. It's a good plane, it really is, it's good fun. But it certainly isn't pay to win. Not anymore anyways. At 9.0, you can make the argument that it was indeed pay to win. It sat at 9.0, which was the exact same battle rating as the regular MiG-17. And it pretty much had better acceleration, air-to-air missiles, better high-altitude performance as a result, and of course, the good old juicy premium status. Did it necessarily make it pay to win? I honestly think yes. There is a good argument for it. However, we look at its premium cousin in the Soviet tree, the MiG-17 AS, and you go, well, it's literally a MiG-17, but with the addition of air-to-air missiles. Now, you might also think that that plane is pay to win, but at the same time, you'll find that even with the Shenyang, when you take two air-to-air missiles on a MiG-17 and put them on the outside of the wing, it genuinely feels like you grow a wheelchair. You don't have these magical, all-killing, all-seeing, all-destroying, god-tier weapons of mass destruction. You literally have some of the worst air-to-air missiles in the game. And I'm looking at the Javelin's Firestreak missiles as well, and seeing them roughly on par with these missiles. Now, granted, they're not as stupidly designed as the Javelins, with the fucking warhead in the back for some goddamn reason. Britain, what are they thinking? What is Britain actually thinking when they put a warhead of an air-to-air missile at the back of the rocket? I genuinely don't understand. But we don't have that here. We have a good plane because it has an afterburner with extra thrust, which basically makes it a MiG-17 but better. And even though you have the PL2s, which I was corrected in the comments is Chinese for Thunderbolt. Now, I still don't know how to pronounce it, but I'll figure that out soon enough. Regardless, we have another F5, and personally, this is my favorite thing to do in War Thunder, is put an F5 against an F5. If that guy was going to turn and commit to me, I was going to turn and commit to him. But he clearly didn't. He kept going, which is probably the smart thing to do and the smart thing for me. Now, you can see that I'm rushing, and you might think, well, soon you're going to have the whole enemy team behind you. And in some cases, you do end up with that, and you end up dying quite early. But other times, you manage to get A5s, F-35 Sabres, F5, MiG-17F copies, basically. You manage to get them in a real spot for your allies, and you just bait them so well. Because what you do is when you start to get engaged by things that don't have an afterburner, you put yourself into a slight vertical, and as you eventually get to altitude, maybe 3,000, 4,000 meters, you'll start to get a really, really big performance boost over the non-afterburning planes. And you can see here that I've turned in to engage this Shenyang, and I cut off after a little bit. I go vertical because I can see that MiG-15, and you never know, there might be someone behind him, and it turns out there are in this case. Now, I'm thinking, should I go for the Shenyang? And I'm thinking yes, because he is basically equivalent to me, and he can pretty much do what I do. The others can't. They don't have that high altitude performance. And so I'm thinking that he is maybe my best bet to go for. I end up deciding to distance myself, and that's a good decision, a very good decision on my part, because there's something like 5 of them. I need to get away. I need to get some separation, and I'm sorry to that F-30 or that F-40, whatever it was. I just could not go back into there and come out alive. 2 Shenyangs, F-40, A-5, MiG-15, I just can't. I simply can't. But there's no time to think about the dead. We're going to engage another Shenyang F-5. And you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just popping up air brake for a little bit. Just a tiny, tiny bit. And what this guy should have done is he should have gone for the vertical. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare a missile just in case he decides to run. And that tends to be a pretty common occurrence. And here we go. I'm pretty sure this guy is going to run. Lo and behold, he does. And he evades at the last second, only scoring me a critical hit. But a critical hit in MiGs tends to be quite fatal compared to that of a Sabre. It reduces the performance to the point where there's really not a whole lot that you can do. And you can see that I must have taken out his engine or something like that because he's really, really slow. And even without the afterburner, which I've switched off just for now, I'm able to keep up with him. And I'm even able to catch him. I have no idea what that spin was, but my God, that's pretty remarkable. Regardless, that's one F5 down. And I need to start thinning the numbers. You can see that there's a lot of carnage going on, and my team is on the losing end of that. So I can see an FJ here, and I'm thinking, it's a quick kill. It'll thin the numbers a little bit more. Surely it's low-hanging fruit, so low-hanging that it's almost touching the ground, if you know what I mean. I'm thinking, should I even waste an air-to-air missile on this guy? And I choose to in the end, because I'm pretty sure that it's going to hit, and lo and behold, it does. I don't know what this guy was doing, and it's a VMF, so he's probably bought it on the marketplace, played it for the first time with bombs and rockets and stuff like that. That's a big no-no, ladies and gentlemen. Never put bombs and rockets on your fighters unless it's late game and you need to take out some ground targets, or unless you're in a 4-man squad of Phantoms and you think you're cool by doing that. But anyway, I digress. F-40 is going to be my next target, or F-30, whatever it is. It's a Japanese Sabre, so it's got wing slats, and it is going to be slightly scary to face. What else has wing slats in this game is the F-86A5. And you might think that the A5 is a bit of a low-hanging fruit, but if it has speed, there isn't really a whole lot that I'm able to do to get away from it. It does have good energy retention, and I can go vertical, but in this case here, he's got so much that I might actually have to engage him. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn in towards him and then deal with the F-40, because the F-40 will probably be able to stay vertical, and there he is. He's been taken out by a friendly. Now I'm here to engage the A5, which has decided that he wants to go vertical. Okay, I make sure I spray him down to get him, and that's my third kill. That was a weird engagement, to be honest. You find that in the Shenyang F-5. You have these really strange engagements with people. Maybe it's because this is where all the jet premiums are, and people don't quite know how to play the game yet. But the Shenyang is able to deal with these in reasonably well. I would personally say that the Shenyang F-5 and the F-86K is a good match. Both of them have afterburners. Both of them have very basic air-to-air missiles. Both of them have decent guns, although not much. Obviously, you have a decent amount of ammo in the F-86K, but you also have 2 guns. Sure, they have high velocity and they're fast, but you also don't have the sheer number and the sheer caliber that the MiG-17 has. If you're at low speed, these guns are deadly. The 23s and the 37, they hit like a train. If you're at high speed, they really don't, because they're so hard to aim. So for some would say, well, I think I would say that the MiG-17F and the 23s and the 37s work really well at low speed, and the Shenyang F-5 has the low speed advantage. But as soon as you get to high speed, the F-86K would have the advantage, and I think they should have really been the same battle rating. Regardless, the matchmaker overall is actually quite well balanced, and I don't really see a massive issue with the F-86K as it stands currently. You might be wondering as well why I decided to strafe this gentleman on the runway. And the reason is quite simple. I haven't seen him do anything productive all game. I doubted that he was even going to move, and by the time I got close enough to see him actually move, it was too late to evade. I wasn't going to run, I was just going to commit to it, and I had no choice. Otherwise I would have been lit up like a Christmas tree by the AA as soon as I turn around and gain a little bit of altitude, and it was probably for the better, to be honest. We won't be seeing the last of runners, though. The guy who I engaged first, the original Shenyang F-5, has decided to go to space. And this basically means that I need to go back, rearm and repair, and that's exactly what I've done. I don't know where this guy is. The last time I saw him, he was by their airfield. And China number one, guess what he flies and guess what he tanks? Exclusively China. I love it. It's almost like a caricature, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what's with it, but every time I've played Chinese players, as in people from China, they always seem to either run away or do some strange stuff, thinking that it's going to result in a victory at any cost as well, which seems to be, I don't know, it seems to generally be a philosophy of Chinese people, which that's cool. But if you're going to climb to space, and if you're going to be an arsehole and not just land on the airfield and jay out like you should, or like what would be I guess preferable or sportsmanlike, if you will, I think that is the better option. You can be seen as a bit of an arsehole for sure. I get it. You're trying to win the game, but if you're going to climb and camp there in a fighter, one, you're not going to win because you have identical fighters on the enemy team, and on top of that, you're not really just doing anything for yourself. If you're going to grind, you might as well land, bail, go on to the next match, and make your victories there. And I have done this, and I occasionally do this. The last video I did on the F-5, which is where I had 5 guys on my ass, I landed and bailed for Yeffy and Turbo and I can't remember who else, but the VTE guys. That's kind of what you do in War Thunder. If you're not confident that you can take out the last 2 or 3 or 4, 5 guys, whatever it is, then I would advocate honestly that you go land, jay out, save your repair, save your death, go for another game. Go for another match somewhere else. You don't have to win it, unless you've got a wager, of course, which in this case, I mean, it's a little bit of a crappy way to try and win. But at the same time, you are playing for Golden Eagles, and I can understand that, and I can forgive that, to be honest. In this case, though, I don't really know, and you'll see it's kind of disappointing the way this game ends. You see him there at low altitude, and I guess he's just been circling his airfield the whole game. Go land, man. Go land and bail. I've gone back to my base. It's been something like 5 minutes since, no, longer, 10 minutes since the initial engagement's finished, and everyone went back to their base. It's something that you can do. And whilst I'm sitting here at altitude and the Venom is over there, the F-5 doesn't really have a chance. Sure, you can outrun the Venom, but then you've got me to deal with, and I've got full ammunition and fuel, so I am going to outlast the F-5 as well. At some point, you just have to call it quits, and you just have to, I guess, give up and have a respectful defeat. This way, you end up making friends instead of enemies. And this particular F-5, who happens to be named China number one, which I find highly amusing, is just chasing the Venom. And I genuinely don't know why. I'm going to try and line up for an AAM, but it looks like he's going to turn in towards me. And he's sort of half committing to the turn too. He could either fully commit, and he could have been head on with me by now, but instead he just puts himself in a really slow and disappointing position. I genuinely don't understand what was going on. Maybe he ran out of fuel. Maybe he did, in fact, try and camp out the game, but realized that, it was kind of hopeless. Maybe he was just scared that I would come and strafe him again. You never know. But at least he didn't go to space, like I've seen countless other F5s and countless other players, and we're never going to stop seeing that either. At least we have blind hunts to finish that, right? But hey, ace in the F5. I can't really complain, and a good carry nonetheless. So, the F5, is it worth buying? Is it worth... I guess so. I like it. I think it's a good plane. I don't think it's pay to win at all at the moment. But it's great. It's balanced. It's well done Gaijin, I guess. Anyway, ladies and gents, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Take care, and I'll catch you next time.